Yo, what up? I have had this as a concept on the back burner for a while for absolute beginners getting into a fighting game for the first time. And since Strive is a recent release, I decided to push it now that it's exceptionally relevant. Even if you're not a complete beginner, I do have people who are better than me at these games, uh, but who still find that they don't really know what they're doing in training mode, which is where we're going with this. So, if that's you, absolutely, it might be relevant for you as well. If you're intermediate or better and already use training mode for stuff, this might not be that relevant for you, but feel free to stick around. Uh, Again, this will hopefully apply to any fighting game, but obviously Strive will be more directly relevant. For starters, use the buttons names. It's what people use when they're talking about these games, so it'll help. Whichever game you're playing, Street Fighter, King of Fighters, whatever, make sure you know what buttons are. This is Guilty Gear, so it's punch, kick, slash, heavy slash, dust. Then you have a dash button in this. Bind it. It'll help. I don't bind roaming castle or burst, but do it if you need it. If it helps you, don't worry about it. Disclaimer here already. I am not going to be giving you optimal strategies. I am going to be walking you through very basic stuff that will help you get your bearings and get you into games. A lot of it will be about how to learn and how to teach yourself. So, already, I'm going to start at the start of a round here. So, already you might want to pause the video and think about what I might tell you to do. Do it, or don't. Either way, you're going to start by pushing buttons. At this range, where you will always find yourself, every single match, what can you do? That's where your questioning should start. It doesn't. It can be demystified by just starting there. Here, punches don't reach. Kicks don't reach. Slash reaches. Crouching slash does not. These do not. This one does. Awesome. Forward heavy slash reaches. Just doesn't. So already we have something. At this range, where you will always find yourself, every single round you play, far slash. Cool. Whichever character you're playing, whichever game you're in, find an option like this. Maybe you don't have anything that reaches that far, in which case, what do you do? Well, what does Soul do when he can't reach? It's pretty straightforward. You can move forward. So, at this range, you can do far slash. At this range, you cannot do far slash, but you can dash into starting range and press far slash. So, already, with just one button and the fact that you can run, we have something. You can do this every single match until they find a way to stop it, which will probably take a while. These fast buttons with good range are usually pretty optimal starters. They might block it, they might jump it, there are a lot of things they can do, but for a start, this is great. You have your neutral game right here. Wherever you are, you can, in some combination of run and far slash, get some damage. And it doesn't need to be much more complicated than that right now. So, already, play around with this. Like, what can you do with what I just gave you? Pause it again, play around, see what you can do, and I'll go ahead and give an answer here. Well, since we realized that at this range you can run and press this game, how about this button? Looks pretty good. Oh yeah, we can run and press that button. So already, we have at the start of the round, you can press this, you can do this, you can even do like, I don't know how good that is, but like, you can play around with it. See what you can do at this range, because it will always be relevant. Even when it isn't at round start, you'll find yourself at roughly this range, often during matches. So, I can kind of leave it there, to be honest. I have given you the basics to work with, and like, you could probably go into matches with only this. I haven't even gone into special inputs. For one, I will say though, mission mode teaches you Gatlings. Use them. They're good. Already with this, you do about twice as much damage and push them closer to the corner, which is important. As well as this, all of a sudden you get a hard knockdown, which, if you're completely new, doing this against similarly skilled players, extremely annoying. They will hate you, and until they figure out an answer, you can just take rounds off of them with stuff like that. And like, that's kind of all you need. Once you start implementing special moves, you can do stuff like this. You can do stuff like that. The world is your oyster. You can, for instance, if you're struggling with the corner, this happens. What do you do here? Well, for a start, they're closer, so all of a sudden something like this is relevant. You got options. You can test what you should be doing in the corner, and again, you can do that. You can do that. You can even do... Can you do... yeah, you can. Exactly. And this isn't even with special moves. I've deliberately refrained from using them because you can do a lot, even if you struggle to do regular Hadouken. Like, you should learn them as fast as possible. It will only make you stronger, but like, this? You don't need to do a special input for this. You can mix it up with... That's all you need. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that, and that's what I would kind of want you to go away with. I repeat myself with that point because it's important. You don't need much more than absolute basics. Maybe you already feel like it's getting too complicated. Maybe you already feel overwhelmed if you're coming into fighting games for the first time, in which case, scale it back. What do you have? Well, at the start of a round, I have Far Slash. And Sol's Far Slash just happens to be so good that try just pressing it over and over again. Maybe this doesn't work for your character, but it works for Sol. If that's your character, this works. So many players will fall for this. And then you can go into this for some extra damage. It's fine. You don't need to be worried about what people will think about your level of play or what have you. And if you're an intermediate player, this is still relevant because you might find the really optimal combos too difficult. In which case, what can you do? Well, you can do something like that. It's not a lot of damage, but it's something. And then when you get into... I don't actually know what Sol combos are in this game. Focus on what you can do. Focus on which situations you find yourself in, and you will find training mode to be an extremely helpful tool. Don't spend too much time in it. Genuinely. If you have basic answers for what to do in the situations you find yourself in, and as a new player, you will only really know that eventually a round will start, and this is all you need to know for that. Keep it simple. Add on to the game plan as necessary. For instance, I haven't even covered anti-airs. You're gonna need those, but for a start, don't worry about it until you find that this isn't working because they keep jumping at you. Alright, I hope this has been helpful. Maybe it's too basic even for beginner players, but I hope that isn't the case. If you have questions or comments on this, absolutely give them to me. I will happily record more things like this for beginner, intermediate, or even master level players if they find this type of thing helpful. I'm not an amazing player by any means, but I am pretty good, I think, at putting myself into the shoes of other players. So, with that, yeah, have a nice day and just have fun.